Germany has a long history of motoring excellence. In the top rank is BMW. Powerful yet refined. An enthusiast's company. Vehicles designed for people who demand the best and some excitement. BMW strives to maintain its reputation as the makers of exciting machines meant to be driven. BMW builds some of the most refined, high-performance vehicles ever created. From roadsters to luxury SUVs and motorcycles, it's a company that continues to evolve. And it looks toward the future, developing cars that run on non-polluting fuels. It's a company that believes in evolution, keeping the past in mind as it develops and builds vehicles for the road today and tomorrow. Bavarian Motor Works, or BMW, was founded in March 1916 with the merger of Rapp Engine Works and Otto Aircraft Works. Initially, the company produced high-performance aircraft engines, including a water-cooled inline six-cylinder engine that powered German fighters in World War I. When the war ended, the Treaty of Versailles outlawed the production of aircraft engines in Germany. BMW turned to motorcycles, and in 1923 unveiled the R32. It was powered by a horizontally opposed or flat twin-cylinder engine. Instead of using a chain or a belt, power was sent to the rear wheel by a drive shaft. The shaft drive and the flat twin-cylinder engine established the formula for all future BMW motorcycles. The design and engineering worked. The R32 became a favorite with racers throughout the 1920s. The first automobile produced by BMW was the small 315 Dixie. This low-cost vehicle was built to meet the needs of a country still recovering from an economically devastating war. Eager to branch out from motorcycles, BMW began construction of the Dixie under license from the British Austin Company. The press called it the best small car in the market. This four-cylinder, 750cc car pumped out 15 horsepower and propelled its happy buyers at speeds up to 46 miles per hour. This performance was enough to take home a class victory at the 1929 Alpine Rally. And its strong sales meant BMW had succeeded in breaking into the car-making business. After the 5-year ban on German aircraft engines ended, BMW refocused its efforts on relaunching its aviation business. By 1927, 1 out of every 3 world flight records belonged to BMW engines, including a round-the-world trip in a flying boat. The company brought its reputation for engineering excellence to its cars, introducing its 315 sports roadster with a powerful 6-cylinder engine in 1935. This 1500cc 40 horsepower motor propelled the car to 78 miles per hour. The 315 was one of the first BMWs to sport the now familiar kidney-shaped radiator. Only 242 of these cars were produced, ensuring that they've become valuable collector's items. BMW's first automobile success came with their luxury sedans and convertibles, the most successful being the 326. It was a comfortable, mid-range car that was offered as a sedan or a 2- or 4-door convertible. These large cars maintained their connection to the company's sporty heritage. Recognizing that its aviation prowess enhanced the reputation of its automobiles, the company sought ways to remind the public of the link between the two, as seen in this promotional film.
Hat mehr vom Kraftfahren. BMW.
8 years after their cars had entered the market, BMW produced the fastest production sports car in its class, the 328 Roadster. Its engineering was avant-garde for the day: a tubular chassis, 6-cylinder engine with a light alloy head, completely new valve gear, and 3 downdraft carburetors. It revolutionized the world of sports cars. A special car based on the 328, the Mille Miglia, named after the famous Italian road race, was almost invincible on the track. It's now a legend, and since only 5 were built, commands astronomical prices at auction. The Roadsters were not the only beautiful machines coming out of the factory. Elegant, sporty touring vehicles, like the 327, provided upper-class Germans in the 1930s with style, speed and comfort. Several models offered the swept-back look, from the sporty 321 to the more elegant 335. The 335 was a touring car with plenty of refinement. This car is the ancestor of the current crop of BMW's large luxury sedans. The outbreak of war in 1939 meant that BMW would have to suspend car production. The company focused all its resources on the war effort. Its motorcycles transported troops, and its engines powered the planes. Its role as a major supplier to the German military meant that its factories would become prime Allied bombing targets. After the war, BMW had to rebuild its operations from scratch. With little steel or capital, motorcycles seemed to be the best way to get back on its feet. This strategy helped to get the company revved up. By 1951, a second model was ready, the R51. It was a stable, fuel-efficient traveling machine, the perfect vehicle for a recovering nation. As the economy improved, there was a need for transportation for growing families. A sidecar was great while you were dating, but the company's future hinged on its ability to build cars again. This happened in 1951, when BMW took the first steps to branch out from motorcycles. Its factories were up and running, and it was getting ready to launch its first post-war automobile. The 501 was very conservative in looks and engineering. The body was mounted to a heavy chassis and an underpowered six-cylinder engine that was developed from a pre-war model. The car was not successful. When it was fitted with a V8 and renamed the 502, the heavyweight sedan sold better. The 1954 engine, the first German 8-cylinder to be produced after the war, was powerful and smooth. It was also the first mass-produced engine to have both the engine block and the cylinder head made of light alloy. In the mid-50s, BMW stunned the automotive world with a pair of sensational Grand Touring coupes and convertibles, the 503 and 507. They were designed by Albrecht Goetz, who would later shape the Nissan 240Z. The press said that BMW had beaten the Italians at their own game. The stylish and elegant cars were too expensive for most. Only 252 507s and 412 503s were built between 1956 and 1959. A few lucky owners had bought one of the most attractive BMWs ever built. While most Germans couldn't afford the sexy 507 or 503, they dreamed of leaving mass transportation behind. Finding a comfortable and affordable small car was a problem. BMW had an answer. In 1954, it entered into a licensing agreement with an Italian company, ISO, and brought out the Isetta. It was an unusual vehicle with a single door at the front and powered by a 250 or 300cc motorcycle engine. These cars provided a transition from two wheels to four. Small cars continued to dominate BMW's thinking, and in 1959 it introduced the air-cooled 700. This, finally, was the model that signaled the company's resurgence as a car manufacturer. The first automotive sales winner since the war. It provided the base on which it could build. While the 40-horsepower coupe versions of the car began to be strong contenders in motor racing, most people were attracted to its host of amenities. They seemed to be getting things right. The final breakthrough came in 1962 with the 1500 model, a completely new design. The compact sporting lines of this four-door sedan were an instant hit. Orders far outstripped production capacity. The 1500 was the first model of a new class of vehicles. It was later joined by many different versions and new designs. Today's 3 Series is a direct descendant of these cars. A more powerful 1.8-litre version of the car, called the 1800, was introduced in 1963. Even though performance was the main concern of most, safety began to be more important to many motorists. BMWs were rigorously tested. This extended to races and rallies around the world. BMWs battled their competition and won victories on the twisty roads of the Monte Carlo Rally. The cars took on the 12-hour endurance race at the famed Nürburgring, winning a class and overall victory. By 1970, the company was gearing up to introduce another winner, the 3-litre CSI. These larger and more powerful coupes boasted 200 horsepower and could hit 136 miles per hour right out of the factory. The CSI dominated the international racing scene over the next decade. The challenge to maintain the automotive edge in the 70s demanded that it grow and expand. BMW built a large corporate headquarters, a powerhouse, where it began to update the entire product line. New models clearly showed the philosophy that drove the company. BMW wasn't just about automobiles. It was committed also to building motorcycles. This, in fact, was seen as critically important if it was to continue building agile cars. It was felt that a company that built motorcycles and cars would be influenced by the responsive behavior of motorcycles and designed cars that were fast, balanced, and handled well. That's what BMW's engineers wanted from their cars. Racing was also seen as being important. A car that performed on the track would sell in the showroom. International race car driver Brian Redman explains.
BMW race, in order to improve the performance of their road cars, the sporting image of the BMW car. BMW offers for its sales the sporting aspect. I don't know if this sounds noisy to you, but there's a hell of a row going on here.
BMW sought out engineers who loved the cars they built and drove. The philosophy: if you have someone who loves driving, they will engineer and produce a car which is especially for the driver. In 1978, a subsidiary, BMW Motorsport, sprang a driver's surprise. The M1, a stunningly designed sports coupe. Its most sensational aspects were the 262 horsepower mid-mounted engine and a body built with a tubular steel frame covered with plastic cladding. The M1 demonstrated its sporting prowess in the Pro Car series created specially for it. BMW was also busy proving its competence in the highest class of motor racing, Formula One. Beginning in 1983, a team of specialists took a four-cylinder, 1.5-litre engine and turned it into an 800 horsepower monster motor. It dominated the circuit, and BMW racked up 9 Grand Prix wins. Winning on the track wasn't the only thing that was important. In 1987, it embarked on an ambitious program to create a new design and technology center that would help shape the future of mobility. One of the major concerns was safety. New crash and handling tests were developed to ensure that the vehicles offered optimum protection. Of course, styling was still important too. While it was known for its sedans, BMW was ready to launch its first roadster since the 1950s, the Z3. The styling accents harked back to the 507, but while the sales of the 507 were poor, the Z3 surpassed all expectations. The Z3 was the first BMW built in North America at the company's new South Carolina plant. In 1999, a 400 horsepower two-seater was introduced at the International Automobile Exhibition in Frankfurt. The Z8 was first seen as a concept car, but was received so well it was put into production. It was an image leader for the company, being a car that could compete with more expensive brands. It stayed in production until 2003. The expansion continued at BMW with the X5, the company's first sport utility vehicle. Although the SUV market was crowded, the X5 distinguished itself as a true BMW, capable of driving nearly anywhere in luxurious style. The success of this upscale transport stimulated other automakers to build similar vehicles. While many people criticized SUVs because of their fuel consumption and alleged impact on the environment, BMW was laying the groundwork for an automotive revolution. The 750HL was the world's first hydrogen-powered internal combustion engine. Using liquid hydrogen as fuel, it creates only water vapor as exhaust. Hydrogen advocates believe it's the answer to reduce pollution and the harmful effects of CO2 emissions. BMW is also developing the next generation of motorcycles. The C1 could be described as the safest motorcycle in the world. It's a small, lightweight, easy-to-ride vehicle that has the unique feature of an enclosed aluminum body and seat belts. This egg-shaped bike has the agility of a motorcycle but offers more protection for the rider. Not everything BMW did was about reinventing the future. The company was about to resurrect the past with the introduction of a new Mini. Produced in England in the 1960s, the original Mini became a much-loved icon of automotive history. The new car had to please loyal Mini fans and win over new buyers. Some thought the choice to build the Mini seemed strange for a company known for its luxury sedans. It made sense. BMW entered the car business with the Dixie and brought the Isetta to Germany. The redesigned BMW Mini unleashed Mini Mania. In an age when many car companies were in a race to build the biggest SUV, the Mini bucked the trend. No matter what size of vehicle the company produced, BMW continued its commitment to building fast cars that handled well. It was a tradition that extended from its 3 Series sedans and convertibles to the top-of-the-line 745i. Some thought that the new styling of the 2003 7 Series wasn't as elegant as its predecessors. BMW moved quickly to make corrections. For the performance buffs, the company offered blisteringly fast cars it dubbed the M-Line. The M3 boasted high RPM engines, sport suspensions, upgraded brakes, and other features that set it apart from the standard 3 Series Beamers. These cars had their horses electronically reined in and were held back from going any faster than 155 miles an hour. Of course, how much faster does anyone need to go? Heritage continues to be important to BMW, and at the company's museum in Germany, visitors get a glimpse of the entire line of BMW cars. Amazingly, most of these early models still run, and the company regularly takes them out on the road in their rolling museum exhibit. With its eye on the future and its heart in the past, BMW continues to produce automobiles and motorcycles that appeal to the driver in all of us. It's a universal impulse that transcends time and place.